Look at that. We're getting the on-air sign, which means we are live. Holy shit. I don't think I need to introduce this gentleman here. You guys probably all know who he is. But for those of you that have been living under a rock, Mr. Stef Carpenter of the Deftones, hanging out with me for the live Q&A today. And I got to be honest, I never thought this was going to ever happen. You know, this whole awesome relationship. Been hanging with Stef on and off for, I think we said, 2018, 2019, right around there?
Yeah, it's been about that long.
Somewhere in, a few years ago or whatever. And it's just so amazing to have Stef here today, take time out of his schedule. And we want to announce, too, we want to be very crystal clear on this. You can obviously see an ESP guitar right next to Stef, a couple on the back wall. That Stef will be playing Kiesel alongside his ESPs. So he's still endorsing ESP. That hasn't changed. And he's going to be endorsing the Kiesel guitars as well. And I think that's just amazing. So I'll let maybe you talk about, the relationship a little bit at all if you want to, or however you want to address that so that people are crystal clear on the ESP and Kiesel thing.
Like all of you watching, I also watch the Q&As when I have some time. And, I really enjoyed the episode you had with Devin, and he literally everything he said explains my position as well. Like I was watching him and he was just sucking all the words right out of my mouth, and I was just like, yeah, I totally know what you're saying. I am a very loyal ESP endorser, but I've also got love for the headless Kiesels, and it was, after you guys built me the first one, I was just like, man, this guitar is amazing, and I didn't actually at that time, say, oh, I'm going to be endorsing Kiesel or anything like that, That's something that we've kind of just come along to as we've been continuing, our relationship. And but having met you, hung out and seen everything and met a lot of people here, this is a top-notch operation too, and I was just like, man, I'm not looking to leave one for another, but I really do enjoy these guitars. And so like I said, watching that episode with Devin, I was just like watching him say everything and way more than I would have said. He could definitely talk it up, man. I love that dude, and but yeah, I mean, I'm very excited to have this opportunity, and I'm very grateful most of all that I can do this with the blessings of ESP as well, and because that was always my concern when it comes to playing them. I didn't want to be disrespectful to them because they've always been there for me. They've always given me whatever I've wanted or needed to get, and so I'm very grateful to have them, and I'm very grateful to be a part of your operation and be your friend and have this opportunity too, So I thank you, and I thank you too, Matt, and everyone at DSP.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so this, relationship really started, like we were talking about, back sometime between 2018, 2019. And, you guys know I've been a huge Deftones fan, since I was about probably 19 years old. So 25 years now. And, when we had our band, I mean, that was the sound that we wanted to be, was the Deftones. I mean, the number one influencing band in my life musically has been the Deftones. I've shared with you guys, like, Blink kind of got me to steer away from the rap and, like, stuff like that I was listening to kind of start listening to punk and then into, metal and into rock and stuff. But it was really the Deftones that was like, oh, we want to sound like these guys. And so when people have asked me over the years, like, hey, who would you want to work with if you could work with anybody? And, obviously it's always been Stef. And so to sit here now working with him it's literally blowing my mind. Like I have a shit-eating grin on my face for a reason, and I'm like, you know, really excited, obviously.
He doesn't eat shit, just so you guys know. That's disgusting. No
hey,
shiza.
well, anyway, you know, so it's just this opportunity I'm so grateful for. And, you know, like I was sharing with Stef, and I'll share with you guys, we started talking because I had built a guitar, sent it to him, and I just included a little letter in there, and I was like, look, man, you're, you know, one of my all-time favorites. I love the band. I think you're an awesome person. I just wanted you to have one of our guitars in case you didn't have one. If you ever need anything or whatever, you know, here's my info. This guy gets the guitar. The same day he calls me. We talked for like 2 hours on the phone. We're talking about guitars, talking about music, talking about Gym Boys.
I love Gym Boys.
I still haven't eaten there yet, but this Mexican food chain that's local to Sac. And I remembered all that, you know, and I hung up.
They had a couple locations down here, but unfortunately did not make it through the pandemic.
Oh, shit.
Which is a bummer, because I was like, no.
Yeah, they were a little closer to you, though, right?
There was one right here in Laguna.
Okay.
And then there was one in Huntington Beach and one in Anaheim, right across from Disneyland.
Got it.
I'd drive an hour to go get those tacos. Never bothered me once.
Damn. Yeah, I'll get up there at some point and get some tacos up there. But, you know, I call my wife, you know, afterwards, after I, you know, hung up with you, and I'm just like, I was like a little schoolgirl, man. I was so excited. You know, here's, you know, one of my heroes calls me, and he ends up being cool. I mean, how often do you have, you know, a band or, you know, someone you really like look up to, and you meet them and they're fucking cool? You know, well, that was the case. And so I never had any intentions of like, hey, I want to, you know, take you from ESP or anything like that. It never happened at all. And Matt was super cool as the president of ESP and gave us the blessing to do this, you know, commingled thing. So I'm appreciative to Matt for this opportunity too. I mean, obviously without Stef wanting to do this, that doesn't matter what anybody thinks, you know, so I'm obviously so stoked for that. And, you know, we built a couple of really cool guitars. You guys maybe have seen this one I'll let you show it off, man. Get this out of my hands. But built this guitar, and Stef was like, hey man, I want an all white guitar. I'm like, man, whatever you want, dude. Like, you just tell me what you want and it's done. And so there it is, you know, an all white Vader, literally everything white on it.
Yeah, I've wanted an all white guitar for a long time, and it's you know, it's just always been just one of those things on the back burner. I was like, well, one day I'll get one, and just so happens that Jeff and everyone at Kiesel made this for me, and man, look at this thing, it's incredible.
Yeah, the coatings on the
it's high tech for power chording, as you all know. I play the power chords. But now that I got this multi-scale, I might step up and learn a scale or two more. I do know the major scale. I learned that when I turned 50.
It's awesome.
Everyone's out there, man, all the modes and everything. What the hell?
Oh, you gotta love it. The coating's like special thin coating. It's not powder coating. It's called Cerakoting. And so I had to do a little bit of research and, you know, really come up with a way to, you know, make it look this way and last. The fretboard, we actually ended up painting it. We had to do a few different processes, a couple trial and errors, and we got it down. And you might not be able to tell, but he's got glow-in-the-dark inlays on the top, and he wanted them opposite. So he's got the higher registers up top and the lower registers down on the bottom. So that's what Stef wanted, and those are the glow-in-the-dark. And I think the only thing on there that's not white besides any silver accents is just the edge of the maple fretboard. That's the only thing that's not white. And then we had to have like kind of the opposite and all blacked out one. And of course, Stef's signature pickups and their good old Fishmans.
The yin and the yang.
Yeah. But yeah, it's going to be cool seeing, you know, I mean, mind blowing to say this out loud. This is the first time I've actually said this out loud, to see Stef on stage playing one of these. Crazy. I mean, literally crazy. And dates, you guys have dates or anything you can announce or talk about? Or
We have 3 shows coming up next month. We'll be in Vegas. I don't want to say the dates because I'll probably say the wrong date, and I don't want to throw everybody off. But we're doing Vegas. The what is the name of it? Man, I can't even remember the name of that festival right now. And we're doing Welcome to Rockville the following week in Daytona, and then a week later we'll be in Columbus at another festival.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to make one of those, I think. If my wife's watching, she's gonna say Columbus because her whole family's from Ohio. So you never know. Maybe we'll make it out to Ohio. But yeah, I don't think I can miss one of those shows.
That's right.
I think we gotta make it out to one of those. So, but yeah, it's cool, and you know, kind of just having this relationship, you know, and texting him and like just hanging out and stuff. And I remember one day I get a text from him. He's like, "Happy New Year, man. Check this out." And he sends me a screenshot, and it was of a Vader you had ordered online. And so here, Stef, you know, obviously like, man, just tell me what you need, man. And he's just like, don't worry about it, you know. And so he had ordered a Vader online, and I was just like, come on, dog, you can't do that. You got to let me know when you want something. So that was just cool, you know, the support, you know, and stuff to kind of see that, and didn't care that he had to, you know, was going to pay for a guitar. When was the last time you bought a guitar? But before that?
I don't remember. It's been a long time. That's
crazy. That's mind blowing. Yeah, I didn't even think about that till just now. Yeah, so he goes online. That guitar was like $4,100 or something. It was an expensive guitar. Like the way it was loaded up, Poplar Burl, and that was a good looking guitar.
Yeah, you know, I actually didn't even worry. That's the first time where I bought a guitar. I didn't even think about the price of it. I was just making it look dope. I was like, man, that guitar is gonna be amazing. Yeah. Can't actually when you do it on the builder, it's just giving you an idea of what it's gonna be. It's not gonna be that, you know what I mean? So I was like, man, what's it gonna really look like, you know? So yeah, no, I mean it's gorgeous.
That's cool. Yeah, man. You know, and coming down here, you've been down here several times now to the shop. So it's been good having Stef, you know, local, so he could come down, and it's just such an amazing thing. You know, and he brought in some of his ESPs today, and our tech took a look at them just so we know, like when we're setting up guitars for him, like how everything needs to be dialed. So we take notes and stuff like that. So I think that'll be cool. And then I think it was your first time seeing the A2, right? I don't think I had that for you last time. Did I ever show you an A2 last time?
No, I mean I've seen it on the live. Yeah. You know, when you did the reveal for it then, but yeah. I have not seen it in person until today.
Yeah. So it's kind of cool. We got a wall of A2s and I guess a DC up there, a couple Aries, and then a couple ESPs. So I know some of you guys are like, whoa, you guys are like showing an ESP on here. It's like, I look at it like this. You know, this is an awesome relationship we have. And, you know, relationships are important. And, you know, these guitars are really important to Stef. That means they're really important to me, and they're really important to us. And I even told Stef, I said, hey, look, if you ever need any work done on these, no problem. You know, we'll fret work, whatever. If you have, you know, a tech that's out or whatever, just bring the ESPs down. We'll dial them in for you, because, you know, it's about the relationship. And it's not about just what the brand is, you know. So, you know, I think that's cool. And any way we can help him, we're going to help him. And I even had offered Matt, the president of ESP, to come down, and I'd take him out to lunch and show him the shop. And so I think at some point we're going to be hanging out. He sounded like he was into it. So I think that'll be cool. And I got to obviously give a huge shout out to Chris Johnson too, our AR guy, who's been friends with Stef for a really long time. And so that's awesome. I would have loved to have had Chris here today. But you know, Chris
we'll do another time when he's around.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there'll be many more hangs for sure. I'm sure there's a lot of people that have questions. for Stef, or probably not so much for me, but whatever you guys want to know. If there's something you guys want to ask, maybe Stef could do some questions.
And I'm going to send a big shout out to Tony Rouser. He's our A&R over at ESP. So, he's also been part of this. And
that's awesome.
Great.
All right, the first question is a two-parter from Joe. The first one is, Stef, what's your favorite song to play live?
My favorite songs to play live are any of the songs off of the Koino Yukon record.
It's a great record.
That's my favorite record to play. I really feel most comfortable playing all the songs we've done since I've been playing on 8-string. And I don't want to say that the guitar sounds heavier, but because, obviously of the lower tunings and stuff like that, they're just the tone, then the sound is thicker. And like when we go back to our older records, I enjoy playing those songs, but I feel like I lose a little something on the playability side, because of the tunings and the not so low, strings, the register. But anything off the Koi record is the stuff that I really, really like.
The second part is, Jeff, what's your favorite Deftones song?
Oof. Pretty much anything off of Adrenaline, Around the Fur, anything off of White Pony. The Koi record, I'm growing into a lot of that. When it first came out, I wasn't like, it didn't hook me. That was like the first album that took a little bit for me. Been listening to Ohms a lot lately. Probably, and even self-titled. Battle Axe is probably my favorite, like, riff. When that riff comes in, I'm just like, it just like does something to me emotionally.
It's like a little Snake Charming riff.
Oh fuck, I love Battle Axe. There's just so many. It's, yeah.
I just have to throw this out there. I'm not sure if this is a popular opinion, but Diamond Eyes is by far my favorite Deftones album.
I love that record too.
Yeah, it is a great album. You can't really go wrong.
Well, the question was, which do I enjoy playing the most? Now, the reason why I choose Koi over Diamond is that we've played Diamond Eyes way more than we ever played the Koi stuff. So, and a lot of it, I had a period of time where I went from my old analog stuff to the digital stuff, where I used to have a nice, big rack system I had Bob Bradshaw built years ago, and I was using that forever. And one day I switched over to the Axe Effects. I had real lofty goals with it, and I never really achieved what I wanted to get out of the Axe Effects. And during that period of time, I'm very grateful, that we've made it through all that time, as a band, because I really set us back in that period of time. Our set list became real narrow, and it came down to, really playing stuff that didn't have a lot of our song, the songs where we have lots of different effects on it and stuff like that, because I had either didn't have it programmed yet, or also I was having real big problems with phasing at that time, and my sound was really thin because it was out of phase, and only I didn't know it because I was not very familiar with all of that concept. And one day when I just randomly, because I just constantly had to keep working on my presets, trying to figure out why I was not getting what I wanted out of them, and one day I realized, I was like, my rig has always been a left and right, configuration, but it's always been mono until I activate a stereo effect of any kind, and then it becomes, that rich stereo sound. But the way I had my rig configured when it was giving me troubles is I was using a stereo cab when I wasn't in a stereo setup. So it was sucking out that center point in my sound. And when I decided to go to the mono cab sim, immediately everything kicked in. I was like, I can't believe I wasted at least 3 years with just that one little change, And And
Yeah.
but once I did that, and then I went back to using the Axe effects like I would use any of my old preamps and stuff like that, everything got better. But I've since moved on from it for the most part. I still have an Axe effects in my rig, and it's there primarily for 4 songs, and those 4 songs are off the Koi record, and there's sounds that are, they're really heavy effect sounds that I use like on the intros and some of it during the song, and so it's, I'm married to the device just because of that. And same thing with a few other things in my rig. Like I have a 3 Strymon pedals in my rig that I use. I could probably simulate those sounds. I do for, just so you know, I'm using the Helix. That's the brain of my rig in my system right now. I could probably make some effects that sound like the Strymons, but it's just easier for me to just use them because I already used them. They're already programmed. I don't have to go and do anything, fancy to them, as well as the Eventide H9, and those were 4 pedals that I specifically used on ohms, so, but otherwise, if I had no absolute to where I had to use them, I would be solely on the Helix by itself right now. But I've got it, doing a few other things, to accommodate for those things. So I could, do the songs the way they sound when we're performing them.
That's awesome too. I mean, to have that level of dedication to say, you know what, I can't get a close enough sound to these songs, so we're not doing them. I mean, that's amazing to have that kind of level of what he's going to do for you guys, what the band is going to provide for you guys as far as a listening experience. I think that's amazing. I mean, a lot of bands would just play the songs anyway.
And I got to tell you, what really the driving force for me when I initially made the switch to the Axe effects, right, was when they put out the version that you could start doing the tone matching on it, right? I was spellbound, like, oh my God, I could get that same guitar sound from each record, and really trying to make all that happen, That just never was that, and like it was fine, like if I was in the studio, but like using it in the live, our live application, it did not function like that for me. And now, the way I have my rig configured is, I have my main sound, and there's like 4 or 5 other sounds that I use, and everything else is just a variation of all these sounds. But regardless of what record, I'm really building my presets just based on the sounds that I need and keeping them consistent regardless of what record we're going on. So like, my heavy sound for Koi that I really love is my same sound for Diamond Eyes, is my same sound for, Around the Fur or Adrenaline. But the only difference is I have to, add a little bit for everything through White Pony. I got to add a little more low end and a little more gain and volume in the mix to accommodate for the gain and volume that the 8 strings produce. They're a louder instrument. And but other than that, I just, I've got a little more. I've got more stability back in my side of the stage, where years and years I was the rock. I was holding it down. But like I said, when I made that switch to the Axe effects, I really threw our world off, and we had a lot of struggles during that time. So I'm very thankful that my friends and I were able to get through all that and get to a place now where it's great. I don't have everything programmed still. Like there's a song off the Diamond Eyes record. It's called "This Place Is Death." It's the last song. Yep. Love this song. It's very easy to play. I mean, it's literally the same chord, just in like 4 or 5 positions, and but it has that really big effect on it, and like there would be, if like some pedals or effects companies, they would refer to it like a crystals kind of a sound. At the time when we did that record, I was using Native Instruments guitar rig, but I was running it completely parallel to my rig. So I had my rig and then the guitar rig on the laptop, and the laptop was just going direct. Did not touch my actual, was not blended into my rig at all, but I was blending the two. And This Place Is Death, with one of the effects for that song is in that program. And in fact, if you're listening Native Instruments, I could absolutely use that effect. I will buy a whole new computer system and have it specifically dialed so I can play that song the way it sounds.
That's awesome.
I have that song is on the no playlist right now because it will not sound like that, and I don't want to do a busted up version of it, just
cool.
So we could be playing it.
No, that's cool. I'd love, like, when you told me that, I think it was either last time or the time before when we were eating and you were telling me that Brandon was with us, I was like, it blew my mind, to hear that level of dedication and that importance to you, that you want to reproduce it exactly for the fan.
Yeah,
and love that.
And I want to say too, for Diamond Eyes, that record didn't. It's the only record with effects that I use, like where I don't have those original effects anymore. Because, like I said, all the effects that I was using on that record were in the Guitar Rig program.
Yeah. So
songs like Sex Tape, Beauty School, This Place Is Death, 976 Evil. They were all presets that were in Guitar Rig that I was running alongside my rig, and those songs are the only ones, and it's the reason why I picked Koi over Diamond, because I'm not playing those. I mean, physically I perform the song the same on the guitar, but I'm not getting the same sound out of it that I did on those.
Sure.
And that's, it's a little less exciting to do just, those songs. Even though I love those songs, that record's amazing.
We've been getting a lot of questions about the white fingerboard on Stef's guitar and the white hardware, asking if that's going to be an option in the future.
I don't see it being an option in the future. We'll see what time brings, but these things are very time consuming, like to paint that fretboard white. There's a long process, a lot of cost added. This isn't going to be like, if we were to ever do it, it wouldn't be something where we're like, oh, give us $100, we're going to paint a fingerboard white. This is a very labor intensive process. Not to mention the color white is very delicate to begin with, especially when doing fretwork around it and things like that. And we did a lot of testing. It was a very hard to do thing, and you guys know where I'm at. If I have a reason to do it, I'll do it. This man right here was the reason to do it. So he asks me, I'm going to do anything I can to pull anything off, but it's got to look perfect or I won't do it. And that fretboard, me and Casey worked together on that, and that thing came out. It looks awesome.
God has blessed me through you and all of your team's efforts. That's what this represents right here to me, and like I said, I'm very grateful. This is something that I've wanted, for a long, long time, and you made it happen, and made it happen fast on top of it, in spite of all your testing and stuff like that. And I know everyone out there watching feels the same way. I watch and I hear all their questions, when I'm watching all the episodes, and your relationship with the audience, your customer base, that's who you're dealing with, is an incredible thing, and I'm very grateful that through all of your efforts with them and the stuff that you do with everyone here, that you were able to produce this for me. I thank you deeply for this guitar.
That was fun. I love doing things that are challenging, like that, things that are different. So, when you asked me, I was like, we'll figure it out. I mean, I knew we would be able to figure it out. Once you figure it out, you start looking back and you're like, holy shit, this was a really hard to do thing. It takes a lot of labor, a lot of resources. And when you take a lot of labor and a lot of resources, and you're already as busy as you can be, this is for like the customer I'm kind of explaining to you. It's hard for me because if I was to do something like this, I'd have to price it in such a way where I have to price it at what we're missing out on doing. When you have a business, you can't say, okay, well, it's this many hours at this rate. Doesn't work like that. What it works like is if it takes this much time, what is that person normally doing and what are we missing out on? It's like when we do the metal flake finishes. We have to fully douche our booth, because if we don't, and I mean peel the floor, peel the walls, change the filters, it's like herpes. It's going to show up again, right? You're going to get a little metal flake in a finish a week later, and you're like, how the hell did we get that? So we have to take extra time to clean up and all that. So we miss a whole day of spraying.
All right, no flakes.
No flakes. So that's just the point. So it's a hard thing for me, because I always want to be as affordable as possible for everybody, because I think that's important. But there's also, if we did something like that, there'd be a price we'd have to charge, because it's so labor intensive. Anyway.
You guys do amazing work. For real. For the amount of guitars that you make and everything, it's all beautiful stuff. And you guys are able to crank things out. I mean, that's killer, bro.
Thanks, man. And what do you have now? Do you have, was it 8 guitars total?
I have 7. I have now including this black one right here will be my 4th Vader. And the complete, rounds out my setups good, because now I have, on 8-string, I use a standard tuning, the F sharp, and then I also have the drop E tuning. So now I have an F sharp and a drop E with the backup for each one of them. So, but I also have the 8-string Aries that you built, and
a 9 Aries.
The 9 Aries, and the one
a DC.
One of Mark's twins.
Yeah. You guys maybe remember a guitar, and this is kind of what kicked this whole conversation off with me and Stef, and what prompted us connecting. For Mark Akubo, we built a DC 700, purple color shift, purple to blue color shift, and it had paint matched Fishmans, or a Fishman, I think, just a bridge pickup, actually. And so we built 2 of them. One of them went to Stef. And that was the plan all along. And I was talking to Mark about something, and I don't know how we got on the subject of Stef. And so he said something like, oh, I think he'd love that. And I'm like, well, why don't we build him one? He's like, yeah, man, I just talked to him last week. I'm like, cool. Well, when it's done, get me his address and I'll ship it out to him. And so I shipped it out. Stef didn't know he was getting anything. I shipped it out, included a little letter in there or whatever, and he called me. It's like, man, I was like a bit starstruck, to be honest with you. And I don't get like that. I'm like pretty chill and pretty even. I was pretty blown away. But yeah, that's how that relationship got going.
Just so you guys know, Mark is watching right now.
Hell
What's up,
yeah.
Mark?
What's up, brother? Yeah, I got to get Mark down here. It's been way too long. I need to get Mark down here. I think Mark's, one of his playthrough videos is like one of the most viewed videos ever on our Kiesel YouTube channel. So I know Brandon wants him in here for that, and I want Mark to come hang at the house. The problem we're having is I don't want Mark to come down for a day. I want Mark to come down for like the weekend, or a couple nights, and chill at the house and go eat some ramen and stuff and hang out.
All right, next question we've also been getting a decent amount of questions about is why Stef uses the pickup configuration he uses.
This is an old story I've told many times. Long time ago when I don't remember what the name of the Whitesnake album was, but it was right when Vivian Campbell just joined the band, and I think he may have been using a Fernandez guitar then. I could be wrong, but he had this configuration in it, and I just thought it was the coolest looking thing ever. And I never knew one day that I would be able to do it myself, because that was before Deftones were signed, or we'd just barely become a band at all at that point in time, and never really considered that I'd have that option. But one day, after I was with ESP, and I had asked about it, and they said yes, and I've had it that way ever since. It's purely just a visual thing I look for. I like to look at. I don't actually use that middle pickup hardly at all. I do use it. I've used it on two recordings, but otherwise, it's just the way I really like the way they look. I would like more functionality out of that setup. We were just talking about that a little while ago, and but for the most part, it's purely just for the look of it. I really like the way it looks.
It's rad.
Next question says, "Hey Stef, is there a reason why you wanted an all-white guitar?"
Yeah, Prince. He has an all-white guitar. I don't know what the name of his guitar. It's the Prince guitar, with all the little loops on it.
Yeah.
Not the cymbal one, but the other one.
Yeah.
That guitar is just like, look at that
I think
thing.
the cymbal one isn't it purple? Isn't the cymbal one purple? I think.
I think he's got a few different.
Oh,
ones.
I'm sure. But
Yeah.
I think that kind of the iconic one is, I think, purple. The
Would
cymbal
make
one.
sense.
Yeah.
Next question is from Tony. He's asking Stef, have you written any new riffs on your new Kiesel Axis?
I have, but nothing that is recorded for release yet. But yeah, definitely.
Next question is from Zach. He's saying, Stef, what's the max number of strings you'd want to play on a guitar?
The max I currently play is 9, and I don't think I would go beyond that. 8 was actually my limit until I saw 9s one day, and I was like, wow, I really want to try the 9, just because that low tuning is really obnoxious, and I have an appreciation for the obnoxious things. So I enjoy the 9 is my cutoff. I love all the people that have gone beyond that, and I love hearing what they do with it. But personally, 8-string is where I'm most comfortable. But I enjoy the 9 just as much because physically speaking, it feels like the 8-string with one more. It's just got one more. But I'm not going to 10. So no matter how many of you ask me to go to 10, I won't do it.
So a few people, I think, probably joined late. They're saying, why is there ESPs there?
That's a great question. So with this live and this announcement, we wanted to be very crystal clear that this is Stef adding Kiesels to his ESPs that he will be playing live. So Stef's still endorsing ESP. That relationship has not changed. It's doing amazing. And he's just adding our guitars, I think once he got the first headless, it was kind of like, I want to be able to play these. And Stef went to ESP, and they were cool with this relationship, as long as obviously we're all very crystal clear and we're all careful with this. The headline, we don't ever want to read Stef leaving ESP. That's not what's happening here. This is adding Kiesel to his ESPs so that he can, do what he does on stage and make amazing music for all of us.
You could put out that headline, but it wouldn't make a difference because the reality is I still very much love my ESPs and I'm very grateful and blessed to have the opportunity to actually add Kiesel to my collection, So with whether that story gets put out like that or not, it'll just be, people, how clickbait is. People just...
Yeah, I know. Unfortunately.
Yeah, so I mean, but yeah, no, I would love for everyone to understand that, my heart has always been with ESP and they have always been amazing to me. And they continue to be, especially giving me their blessings to add Kiesel to my collection, so...
Yeah, and we wanted to, be very transparent on our end. When we were talking about it, I said, hey, let's just, for the photo, let's have Stef have one guitar in each hand.
And I got to say, also, having ESP's blessings as I do to do this, I also have your blessings as well for me to bring an ESP to Kiesel. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
how many other people are bringing their guitars? Hey, oh, Jeff, what about this one? Blah, blah, blah. So,
No.
you know what I mean? It's a two-way road, and I thank you for that, too.
Absolutely. No, I wanted everybody to understand, and I thought, what better way than us to have you with both guitars? We do the release, and everybody knows. And people are like asking me, are you going to be okay with that? I'm like, well, it was my idea, so yeah, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, you guys already know Jeff is hella cool, but I'm just telling you that he's hella cool. You know what I mean? He's not going to sit here and blow his horn like he could. So I'll blow it for him. You know
Well,
what I
thanks,
mean?
brother.
This is an awesome human being right here.
Well, I feel the same way about you, man. I mean, like I, share with you guys, when you get a chance to meet one of your heroes and they end up being super cool, because I promise you guys that it doesn't normally happen like that. I've met a lot of people over the years, and I would never tell you who they are or what happened or whatever, but there's been a lot of disappointments, and so, to meet him, and it was like, fuck, man, this guy's so cool. Like, and I told the guys, I was like, this is early on. I'm like, I don't care if he never plays our guitars. I just want to be his friend. He's so fucking cool. And that was the goal from day one, is just to be friends with him, and
I'm getting him high all the time now.
Yeah, I actually did get high with Stef, man. That was fun, man. We had a good time. But yeah, good times for sure.
Next question. Also, multiple people asking this question. How do the multi-scale guitars feel compared to your normal scale guitars?
They're very nice. I have to say the first time I ever held a multi-scale guitar, I actually didn't even know I was holding a multi-scale guitar, and it was I don't remember what festival we were doing, but we were playing with Animals as leaders at that event, and I was hanging out with them backstage, and Tosin actually, that was right when he first put out his signature, the Abatsi guitars. And I was just checking it out, and I was just playing around on it. I'm just messing around. I don't know anything serious, but I'm just messing around. It literally wasn't until I handed it back to him that I had recognized that it was the multi-scale, and I was like, wow, I didn't even feel it.
Yeah.
So I mean, visually, when you're looking, when you're someone that's looking at the guitar, you're seeing it, but when you're seeing it from a top-down perspective, you don't notice it, because the thing I notice are the little markers. That's what my eye goes to, the markers in between the frets, so I know where I'm at. I'm not actually looking at the frets, and it's not until you really look down on top of the fretboard till you're like, oh wow, look at that. It's comfortable. I mean, I really enjoy it. Obviously.
Can customers order guitars like Stef's Vaders?
Oh, wow. That's probably a conversation for another day. Really, this is all pretty, it's all unrehearsed. Every time we do a live, we don't rehearse anything.
You get a Vader. You get a Vader.
Yeah, we're just here to hang out and make the announcement. And we're just excited about that. So we're just going to let this be about that right now. So we'll see what the future brings.
Next question is from Tyler. He's asking, Stef, what amp models do you use in the Helix?
I specifically use one. I will branch out and actually use more, but I'm using the Uberschall amp model in the Helix. It sounds like, it's the most common sound to the sound that I've always liked and have used. I feel like I can get the best response out of that.
Here's a good question. Someone was asking, do you remember what version of Guitar Rig you used on Diamond Eyes?
I do. It was Guitar Rig 3.
There you go. You guys have Guitar Rig 3.
Yeah, if you got Guitar Rig 3, the effects that I was using on that record are presets that are inside of Guitar Rig. And I mean, somewhere in my storage locker, I know I have the program. I have the disc laying around somewhere, but what I probably don't have laying with the disc is the serial code to actually activate it with once I load it in. And that's why I said, anyone out there with Native Instruments, if those, I don't know if the presets from that model from that program has rolled over to anything current or not. I don't even know if they still have Guitar Rig or not.
Next question. Louis Vuitton finish on the Kiesel Builder anytime soon?
So the problem with, and I think that'd be cool, by the way, but the problem with doing anything that is infringing on someone else's logo. I mean, obviously Louis Vuitton's not going to give us permission to do that. So the only way for me to be able to...
Can't sell it. That's the problem.
There you go. My man. I could do it. Like if Stef said, hey, I want that, I could do it for Stef, give it to Stef, but I can't sell it to you guys. So that's the problem. Anybody that owns anything, there's copyright. And, you know, obviously I'm not going to go to these major companies and say, hey, can I use your thing? They're going to be like, oh yeah, sure. We want $100,000 contract minimum, you know. I mean, they're not going to let me use it once or twice or whatever. So as cool as all that stuff would be, I can't do that. And, you know, we're a big enough guitar company where we're going to get caught doing that. And it's not the right thing to do anyway. Not that we would do it if we were smaller, but I think smaller builders could get away with it before we could.
So this is one of the many reasons why I give ESP the love and the props, is that I have a guitar with the Louis Vuitton print. I also have one with the Gucci print, but these guitars aren't for sale. They had the custom, you know, artists do those for me. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And they, you know, there's been a couple times where people have tried to snatch those guitars up out on tour. Somebody was actually walking away with the Louis in Texas at some festival, but they got caught and I got it back.
Oh, damn.
But it's like, where are you going to go with that? It's like, I'm the only one with it. I actually just saw a friend of mine just showed me a picture of a guitar, a baby blue guitar that has the Louis print that a friend of his had, you know, somebody did the paint scheme for him. You know, so I was like, well, okay, now I don't have the only Louis one out there. You know, there's at least one more that I know of.
Yeah.
I mean, it's different than mine, but nonetheless, you know, that's something that you do, you know, that an artist can do for you personally, but you'll never be able to go buy that unless they, you know, manufacture something that on their own.
Yeah.
And maybe one day they will.
You never know. Maybe they
might be that Gucci collab coming. I would be stoked.
That'd be rad.
Next question is, Stef, what bands are you digging these days?
Oh man, you know, I watch so many videos on YouTube, most of which aren't music, you know, but I do like, what was this band I just recently heard, something Earth. I'm gonna butcher the name trying to remember it, but I mean, most modern metal bands, I mean, almost, you know, everything that everybody's familiar with. I love all of them. They're incredible musicians nowadays. Inspiring, you know, just like the Rounder Shredders when I was younger, you know, I'm amazed, and I know I'm not going to be able to do it because I'm just not going to lock myself away in the bedroom for 2 or 3 years to learn everything. Even though there's the part of me that plays a multi-scale guitar wishes I could do all that. I really would be like, wow, check me out. Blah, blah, blah. But you know what I mean? I don't do that yet. You know, I do, you know, have something that gives me that inspiration, you know, and I would love to add some of that kind of flair to what I do, but it will come in time. It's not something I do now, but yeah, I mean, obviously we're talking about Mark, you know, Veil Maya is one of my, you know, favorite bands of a lot of the new bands that are out. What else do I really grind around on, you know, and obviously Periphery a lot, you know, those guys are amazing people and their music's incredible. The Contortionists, I really love them. I'm leaving out a lot right now too because I'm thinking about it. What is it? Man, and it's anyway, Chelsea's Grin, you know, Chelsea Grin, I really love them. You know, that stuff's brutal. You know, Lorna Shore, how could I leave that out? That stuff's incredible. I really love the fast stuff too.
That's cool.
I think metal music is complete with not just double bass, but blast beats double bass, you know? Like that stuff really blows me away.
Can we get camo Kiesels now?
You know, the hard thing with camo, and I was talking to Stef about this just a little bit ago, is the way a lot of those finishes are done, not necessarily all of them, but a lot of them, is they have a printer. So you'll paint a guitar white or black, or typically white, typically a light color or green or whatever, and then you're printing on top of that the different color patterns. I would need to get a printer, right, and set it up to be able to print, on curves and on bevels and all that.
I got 5 on it.
The problem is with us, we have so many different shapes. So how do you, kind of round that up? Not saying it'll never happen. I've been wanting to get a printer for a while. Maybe it'll happen. Maybe Stef will be like, yo, I need a camo one or something. We can always do one by hand too, but obviously that's not super affordable for, everybody. But we'll see what the future brings on that.
I don't know how big the printer is, but I don't think you have room for it right now.
Yeah, we're pretty maxed out here. And we want to stay the size we are, we want to be right at 4,000 guitars a year. That's it, and I don't know, I'm sure there are other people out there, but probably not that many business owners are like, this is what I want to do.
That's incredible when there's only like 365 days a year.
Yeah.
And ain't nobody here on the weekend, so it's not even 365.
Yeah.
There ain't no one here on the holidays.
Yeah, it's true. And we're closed for almost 2 weeks between Christmas and New Year's.
That literally says how the days are going. You know what I mean? The days you're here are full days.
Oh, they are, man. It's like it's nonstop. And my section's backed up. I got 4 carts of guitars right now that I'm working on. And I'm in April on my dates. So the dates that I'm on are April dates. Obviously the guitars are going to be late because if I'm still working on them and they're April dates, we still got usually about 2 weeks after I'm done with them, the soonest they could be ready. So anybody that's got a Jeff to do finish possibly is going to be, you guys all know that they're usually late. Occasionally they're early, but they're usually late. And some of that is, working on cool stuff like this, right? Shit, I love doing stuff like this. This is amazing.
Which is why, I'll toot your horn for you. You know what I mean? I am very grateful that you would actually, take the time and extra time and make this happen. You know what I mean? So thank you very much for that.
No problem, brother.
We had Lee McKinney from Born of Osiris in the stream. He says, I'm about to go on stage now, but just wanted to say 2 legends. Welcome to the family, Stef.
Thank you, brother. That's another great band right there.
What's up, brother? Yeah, I got to hang out with Lee for a few nights. He flew out and hung out with me. That was really cool. It was just 2 months ago. So it was great to see Lee and spend time with him.
We got to go throw some money away at the casino last year when we were out in Connecticut.
Is that right?
Yeah, that was fun.
That was cool. I love Lee. He's such a great guy.
Next question is, Stef, do you have any thoughts on neural DSP?
I have a quad cortex. I think it's great. I'm already, as a player, I'm committed to my Helix, and I would love to expand my rig and just have that in there just for the fun of it. But at the same time, there's no need. But I do really enjoy their product. Also, it's they make quality stuff. Too small of a pedal board though for me to use on stage. I'm too clumsy. I need way more space in between my buttons.
Next question is, Stef, have you tried any Kiesel models besides the Vader?
The Aries. And Mark's guitar, the
DC shape.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, the neck through double cut. And Stef likes neck throughs. He's definitely a neck through fan. I'd built Stef a 9-string. Stef was like, hey, I really want a 9. We built him a 9 and an Aries 9, but it's bolt on. And so I'm like, hey, don't worry about it, man. We'll make you a neck through. So I will be making Stef a neck through 9.
What's amazing is, as a guitar player, everyone's on their quest for the most perfect tone always. And, when I listen to a lot of modern guitar players, and they all really give praise to the bolt-on because of the way it affects the sound. And it's weird to me. I have the same opinion as them, but I have it in the opposite, where I feel like it's the neck through that gives that, that extra sound, But for me, what I like about the neck through guitars is that it I feel it resonate with the entire body.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's at least my perspective.
Yeah, you're
on
absolutely
it,
right. Yeah, I think what a lot of the guys like is they like the extra punch that it adds.
That's what I hear. But see,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm getting extra punch because the body is actually,
Yeah.
filling it up more,
Yeah.
But again, that's been actually one of the things that I've enjoyed about our relationship and meeting with you is I'm actually learning a lot more about the physics of the guitar itself, from you and others talking, and hearing all the different, explanations of how the different types of wood are, all the different parts and stuff like that. I've never really thought about all that stuff before. My focus was always simple on, it was the pickups. It was, it was bolt on versus neck through. And I always like neck through, just primarily for the feel. But, I'm also very, swayed by the look of the instrument. I do put a level of importance on the looks of an instrument. And I know that has nothing to do with the way the instrument performs, but it does have a lot to do with how you feel about it, and your feel is what's going into the feel of the instrument.
Absolutely.
So
it's got to look good.
Yeah, it's got to look good to you.
Yeah,
you know
absolutely.
what I mean. Whoever, every one of us has our own little vibe. You know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So, I've always gravitated to the things that I think look good. They will. To me, it's a guitar is a guitar. You're going to play it, and you're going to play it the way you play it and the way you want to play it, and it's going to sound the way you're performing it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think when the look matches the look in your mind's eye, you tend to be more excited, which will translate into your performance more.
Oh, absolutely. And you're going to want to pick it up more too, even if you're not performing. If you're playing at home, it's on the wall or whatever, you're just gonna be like, damn, pick it up and play.
Mm-hmm.
So I totally agree with that.
All right, this is going to be the last question of the stream, and it is, Stef, what made you want to try headless guitars?
Again, as we were just talking about, I really enjoy the way they look. They've been around as long as I've been playing a guitar, and in the earliest days, I didn't care so much for them, even though they were still interesting to me. I did, always think, wow, that's a trip, you know what I mean? And I never actually understood how they actually functioned. It wasn't even until like the last 5, 6 years where I was like, oh, okay, they're locking down and they're tuning over here, and stuff like that. Just basics when it comes to the way their actual, operations are. And, but I've, as I've seen more and more players doing it, I watch a lot of playthrough videos on YouTube. And, when I see people with their headless guitars, artists like Pliny, I just, he's so inspiring. When I see this stuff, I'm just like, man, that's really nice. I actually really like that, and then, if you all seen the Q&A with Devin, the one thing that he said that I would echo completely is, when I'm just sitting around the house, and you've said it in your one of your many Q&As you've done, it's just perfect while I'm just sitting there. I'm not even thinking about it. I'm not going to get up and bang the headstock on something, or whatever, I don't know. It's an attractive guitar to me now. I've grown into this. I didn't always feel the way I do. This has been a headstock that I have loved from the very, very, very start of playing these guitars, and I still absolutely love this headstock. There was actually a point when I first got my first 7 strings that ESP ever built, and they had like a teardrop headstock. I actually have that same headstock on my 9 strings. For the 9 string, it looks fine. It makes sense. I got 9 strings on it. You know what I mean? But when I was using with 7s and even if with the 8 as an option, I've never had this love for 2-sided tuning keys. I've always wanted everything on the one side, whether it was on top or on bottom with like a reverse headstock. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This has always been the look that I love, and I still love that look. but I also really do like this, you know, and here we are, you know, I mean, it's where I'm at.
That's awesome. Well, what an amazing live. You know, this has made my year, you know, I mean, this is such an amazing thing. I mean, this will be a highlight of my guitar career. This is truly an honor to be here with Stef, hanging out with you guys, you know, doing this. And, you know, when it started talking about this, you know, was going to be a possibility, it was like, you know, even saying it out loud was just like, holy shit, you know. And I just kept telling my wife last night, you know, like this is actually happening. Like, I'm just so excited. So there's very few times that I jumble or I'm at a loss for words, and I'm kind of there right now. So that's how excited I am. So thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you, Stef, for...
Thank you. Again, that excitement you feel, I feel twice, because I have your guys' guitars and I have these guitars. You know what I mean? As a guitar player, that's a very special thing, and I'm very thankful.
That's awesome. Well, guys, definitely check them out. They got a couple of shows, 3 shows. Go to Deftones site, check that out, and thanks for watching. We'll see you guys later.